Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to No Timeouts, a football show coming at you from the Score Studio. My name is Jonah Birenbaum. That is Tyler MacKillop. That is Dan Wilkins. That is Zak McDonald. You know them. You love them. And man, do we love having football back. Incredibly exciting week one to break down. It's in the books now. We had the Cowboys making a game of it against the Eagles on the Thursday night opener. We had the Chargers taking down the mighty Chiefs on Friday night. Bills-Ravens, early contender for Game of the Year. And just as we all anticipated, the league leader in point differential after week one is the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, wait.
I think
Tyler Hill.
I was being facetious, but you did actually call that. No. Obviously, a one-game sample is as small as samples get. But that being said, there are some things that you guys saw in week one that you feel are true, that you feel confident in, trends, performances that you feel are reliable harbingers of what's to come this season. So let's dive into your week one takeaways. Wilk, what do you got?
I mean, I'm not a big vibes guy, but it was pretty difficult to ignore the fact that heading into this season, everything about this Dolphins team just felt gross. I mean, heading into this opener, I didn't really know what to expect. I thought that, looking back at this past season, the offense has always been good when Tua's playing. The defense was better than people thought last year, so, maybe there's a chance that this could work out. As it turns out, absolutely not. This team is cooked. Now, all due respect to the Colts, who I think played quite well, but that blowout loss was an absolute embarrassment. The secondary and the offensive line were both every bit as bad as they look on paper, but to me, that's not even the big part of this story. I just feel like everything about this Mike McDaniel system has gotten stale. They caught a lot of teams off guard with this finesse offense in years past. It seems like opponents have adjusted, and he just has no counterpunch. I mean, Tua looks absolutely lost out there. I just feel like they're right on track to be a huge seller at the deadline, and I think we were talking about this pre-show. I'm not even sure it's going to take that long. I wouldn't be surprised if Tyreek Hill is traded within the next few weeks, and we know the Chiefs need a receiver right now, so
please get Tyreek on the Chiefs.
Come
on.
I mean, I think that's where it starts, and probably as they continue to lose, we'll just end up with more people traded up toward the deadline at the beginning of November. And to me, that all adds up to this being a sneaky contender for the number one overall pick. And at that point, let's be clear, the move is to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, Tua did not look good at all. And, you know how bad Cam Ward and the Titans' passing offense was? Tua and the Dolphins had a worse EPA per dropback. It was just abysmal. Going down 30 points before you even put a point on the board. The Colts scored on all 7 of their drives. They didn't punt once. It was just a flat-out destruction, really abysmal effort for the Dolphins. Yikes. T, what's your takeaway?
We talked about this briefly in the preseason, and I'm already ready to apologize to Liam Cohen. I feel like he already looks the part in terms of when you look at what the Jags did in week one, then you look at what the Bucs offense looked like.
Respect for the early take back. I really like that.
Yeah.
I saw it on the rundown, and I was like, I thought T hated Liam
I'm always
Cohen.
willing to admit I'm wrong. You'll see that. But the Jags ran for 200 yards. Travis Etienne had 4 rushes of 10-plus yards. You guys want to know when the last time that happened for Travis Etienne?
When was it?
October of
Clemson?
2023. October 8th, 2023 is the last time he had at least 4 rushes of 10-plus yards. So the run game was good. The offensive line was actually pretty good, too. Anton Harrison was one of the higher-graded tackles at his position, too. Didn't allow any pressures at that spot. Now, Trevor Lawrence will have some questions to answer this week because that did not look too good. But you look at the other side, and the Bucs are making this change with Grizzard in their run game, and they're kind of going to more of a gap scheme and the zone scheme, and they ran the ball terribly against – I think the Panthers are going to be a fine run defense. I don't think their defense is going to be terrible. I don't think the Falcons are an elite defense by any means either. And the Bucs ran the ball for 100 yards on 30 carries or so. Their backs had 17 carries and 54 yards rushing. Baker Mayfield had 40 on his own. I'm pretty sure he might have been close to leading the team in rushing. So their run game did not look good. Their protection did not look great. And Cohen looks to be he's the main factor in what both of these teams look like in week one. But both teams did win both their games. But yeah, I think Cohen has already answered a lot of questions for me through the first week of the season.
T-Mac, is Travis Etienne, is he the Bucky Irvin of this year? Do you think he's going to blow up fantasy-wise for the rest of the year?
I don't think so. I would say it's a telling sign that they let Tank Bigsby go in that trade with the Eagles earlier this week. I think they want to play Toot, and we'll see what the dynamic is between the two. But Etienne did look a lot more elusive than he has the last 2 years.
The quality of the opponent doesn't give you pause at all about calling him the real deal after
I think
one
it's
game?
more. I think it's honestly more about what I saw from Tampa than obviously the run game looks good, and I think that's really hard to do because I talked about this in the preseason. I think the Jaguars' offensive line is awful, but they actually looked solid in that game. And I don't think the Panthers defensively are anywhere near as bad as what they look like offensively, I guess I would say. I'm
not too concerned about the Bucs because I know that they did some shuffling on the offensive line in week 1. Like with Wirfs out, they made a really weird move to move Graham Barton from center to left tackle, which he hadn't played since at Duke, and then I think they moved their left guard to center, and it was just a weird shuffle job when they could have just brought in the backup left tackle and left everything else the same. So I think that group will look a lot different when Wirfs does come back. But I'm with you that I'm really excited about Liam Cohen. I'm a little worried about Trevor Lawrence because I've been a big Trev guy for a long time. I've been kind of hoping that he at some point recaptures like that 2022 magic, like because when he was a sophomore, he looked amazing, really right? Good. But I don't know, man. You can't be coming out of a game with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. and having them combined for less than 50 yards receiving. That's not going to work.
I've got some stuff for that game with the Bengals this week. But the other thing I liked was that I don't know if you guys saw when they asked Cohen of like, is this the expectation for Travis Hunter moving forward? He's like, absolutely not. Like we should have got him on the field even more, especially defensively. So I am excited to see because I think he only played 6 snaps on defense. I think we'll see him more, and I'm excited for that.
Less than 50 total, so I don't know about him playing in 100 plus in half of their games prediction. Not exactly the most promising start on that front. Zachy, what's your takeaway?
Well, you want to talk about a promising start. The Green Bay Packers are a problem.
Yep.
They came out about as hot as you could come out. Whatever they dreamed up when they traded for Micah Parsons, it came true. They had 4 sacks. They had an interception from Evan Williams. They had 5 more tackles for a loss. And Micah Parsons, everybody was talking about how he looked like the lion chasing the gazelle on his sack on Jared Goff. And you could like put the music behind it and see it. Micah Parsons, he opened everything up for Lucas Van Ness and for Rashawn Gary because he's getting double teamed. And also Jeff Hafley, who I was saying earlier, Tyler didn't necessarily agree, but I think he's going to be one of the top candidates to be a head coach at the end of the year. He had Micah Parsons at times playing as a defensive tackle, which again is opening up for these two guys. Lucas Van Ness is a former first-round pick. They just looked absolutely incredible on defense, and he looked really good on offense too. Jordan Love came out and he was super efficient. They didn't really do much in the second half because they didn't have to, but he threw a beautiful touchdown to Tucker Kraft. They had Savion Williams, a rookie that they drafted this year, running some gadget plays, and I think they really like his versatility there. Jaden Reed was making big plays. Most importantly, they only had 1 drop in the entire game, and they were one of the worst drop teams in the league last year. Matthew Golden looked pretty good. They were 1-5 against the division last year. They start out 1-0 against the team that everybody would say is probably the best team in the division. Incredible start for the Packers.
I was really scared in the first half, seeing the offense and the defense play that well. I'm like, oh no, maybe the Packers are the best team in the NFC.
They look like an astonishingly complete team, and like, I mean, the fact that they held Detroit, which had the 6th best rushing offense, to 2.1 yards per carry in week 1 was absolutely incredible. The pass rush, as you pointed out, ridiculous.
The Ben Johnson effect feels a little bit real too, of losing Ben Johnson, and they also lost their offensive coordinator for the Jets, Tanner Engstrom. He did a really good job with the Jets, and the Lions did not promote him to offensive coordinator. They had John Morton, who actually formerly was an offensive coordinator with the Jets, which is never a resume piece you want to hear for somebody being your offensive coordinator, and the fans were not happy.
Yeah, I mean, look, especially after last year when they beat up exclusively on kind of middling teams, to come out in week 1 and defeat the Detroit Lions in commanding fashion, the Packers could not have had a better start to their season. Wilk, you got another takeaway for us?
Yeah, I mean, let me take it back to the draft for a second, because when we were talking on those shows, I was pretty adamant that I didn't get it with Jackson Dart. Just looking at his tape at Ole Miss, it was really tough to see many things where he could be like, yeah, this will definitely translate to the NFL. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely not walking any of that back after a couple preseason games. But I will say that what he showed over the summer at least opens the door for the possibility that he's much further along in his development than I or anyone else could have expected, including the Giants. So, while I fully expected them to come into the season and start Russell Wilson almost the entire year, man, plans change. And based on what he showed in week 1, which is to say absolutely nothing, I would think that those plans change pretty soon. It doesn't look like it's going to be this week, but I would think that maybe when the Giants get Andrew Thomas back, so they have something to protect him on the offensive line, that's when we could see Jackson Dart. And look, I would be happy to be wrong about him. If he's any good, then it'll be a lot of fun to watch him grow alongside Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I guess my question is like, at what point are we pointing the finger at Brian Daboll? Because you look at what Daniel Jones did in his first game in Indianapolis. You look at how Russ is not the version of himself that he used to be, but you look at how the performance really dipped in his first game with the Giants.
Also, not to interrupt, Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney, Leonard Williams, all these guys doing great after they leave the Giants.
Is this a coaching issue in New York as much as it's a personnel issue?
I think it's mostly personnel. Like this hasn't been a good roster for a long time, and I don't know what anyone, including the Giants, really expected with Russ when they signed him. Yeah. Good deep ball and everything still. I think he can still push the ball downfield, and you have receivers that can take advantage of that. But when you don't have an offensive line to protect him, I'm not sure how many deep shots you're going to be in position to take. So I don't know that there was ever really a whole lot of logic in this marriage anyway. I think they just needed a short-term Band-Aid. And if Dart looks as good as he did in the preseason, and they're as happy with him as they seem to be, like he won the number 2 job over Jameis Winston, right? No one was really expecting that either. I think that we're gonna see him pretty soon, because there's no point in wasting any more time with Russ.
A lot of this comes down to the Giants have not been a good identifier of talent in the draft for multiple years now, especially with the investment they made on the offensive line that hasn't showed out, some pieces in the secondary. They are forced to go to free agency to find those answers. I don't think Russ was an inspiring ad from the beginning.
No, that's for sure. You got another takeaway, T?
Yeah, I'm looking at what the Chargers did, and we'll have a lot of conversation about Justin Herbert. I'm sure a lot will coming out of week 1, but I am just as impressed with Jesse Minter in terms of, I think he's the best defensive coordinator in the NFL and the number 1 head coaching candidate as we head into next season potentially. And we're already looking at some guys that could potentially lose their jobs. But we know what we got from Minter last year. It was the number 2 scoring defense, the number 2 defense in the red zone. This was a team that just kind of put the roof on top of opposing offenses and took a completely different approach. I feel like now we're a lot more focused on stacking the box, a little more single high, a little bit more man coverage. Minter's always a heavy zone, 2 high sets, and trust. The way that this team has identified talent and developed at defensive tackle blows my mind. Like Poona Ford last year was like 28 years old, had been nothing more than a rotational piece in the NFL. He gets a 3-year deal with the Rams and getting like $10-11 million a year. Morgan Fox is like 32. He gets a multi-year deal from the Falcons. He'd been around the league and had done absolutely nothing as well. Tear Tart had been with Tennessee for 4 or 5 years. Another guy that was just a rotational option in the first week of the season now. He looks to be a mainstay for them at defensive tackle. Like, I thought this team was really lacking talent on the defensive line, and they've kind of changed my mind about that in the first week of the season. And there's just so many players on this roster that do not come from a lot of draft pedigree that have shown up and been important pieces for this defense. Minter has done an incredible job, and I would go as far to say, I'm scared to say this, but I think I would fire Jim Harbaugh to keep Jesse Minter.
What?
He's young. He's a genius. He's the Sean McVay of defense.
Isn't this what you did with the Lions last year? This
me.
was the exact. That was you.
Yeah.
We got to stop with this.
I love
Also,
Jesse Minter.
you don't think that No Timeouts is your favorite football podcast? We just had high octane interior defensive line talk from Tyler. No laptop in front of him.
He's got straight off the dome.
Salary cap numbers. This is a real football podcast. All right, lock in.
Zach,
nobody wants to hear the defensive line though. Unfortunately,
no,
I do.
It's just really inspiring to me. I can't believe the job that they continue to do the last 2 years.
I don't know how he wasn't a more serious candidate for other jobs last year. Like,
going
to that process, I thought he would be one of the top guys. And did he even get an interview? I can't remember, but he wasn't a serious candidate at all, and it's shocking to me.
Zachy, give us one more takeaway.
Last one, real quick. Jets, Steelers, probably the best game from the 1 o'clock slate this week. And Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers played awesome. It was really fun to watch them play. I think Arthur Smith was absolutely in his bag. Like, he's supposed to be this, he's always looked at, I think he's better than he gets smashed for. Like, he had that bad run with the Falcons. I don't think Arthur Smith's the worst coach. He had some really creative play calls. He was the Aaron Rodgers 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was getting Aaron Rodgers some of those touchdowns. Played great. Tanner Engstrom that we mentioned before had the Jets. Jets are kind of like the they're trying to be like the mini Ravens right now, I think, like the Walmart version of the Ravens with like Justin Fields as their Lamar Jackson and Breece Hall as their Derrick Henry, Braylon Allen really good. I will say this though, this is my opinion on this. I would just, if I was a fan of the Jets or a fan of the Steelers, I'd still be a little bit wait and see with these guys. I don't think it's necessarily these teams are going to score 35 points every single game. Justin Fields is one of these players where he has really good games, and then he's going to have a 3 or 4 week stretch where he barely cracks 150 yards passing. So I think cool the Jets a little bit, even though
Cool the Jets.
Cool the Jets.
Well played. Well crafted.
Cool the Jets.
No, as a matter of fact, I want you guys to do the complete opposite because all of those takes were so measured and reasonable. Now I want you to go nuts. I want to hear your overreactions to what we saw in week 1. Will, give me an overreaction.
Oh, man. I'm going to say that the Bills are going to go undefeated.
Undefeated!
I mean, for the purpose of this show, it's obviously an overreaction, but I'm kind of just convincing myself of this at this point, too.
Wow.
I mean, the Ravens game to me was the hardest game they will play the entire year. 1, because of the opponent, just because the Ravens are that good in my mind. But 2, you're playing them in the first week of the season when I think there were some legitimate questions about the way the Bills' receiving core was going to come together and the way the new young talent was going to fit in on the defense. And to be clear, they should have lost that game. They pretty much had it lost. I'm sure a lot of Bills fans either walked out of the stadium or turned off the TV. But then Josh Allen happened.
Which is crazy. Stop doing that, by the way. Stop. I heard people doing it last night with the Vikings game. Stop going to bed when these teams are on, especially in week 1. We got to be better than this.
I wouldn't go to bed with Josh Allen.
When Josh Allen's your quarterback, I don't know how you could ever peace out early.
You only get so many games a year, and you're gonna pack it in with a quarter left. That doesn't make sense to me. But
the
then
leaving the stadium thing is always crazy. That's the craziest one. Maybe like if you're at some small college FCS versus FBS game, but I don't get it in the NFL.
But they come out with this miracle win that suddenly makes them feel pretty invincible, and now they're going to head into this really easy stretch of the schedule leading up to their early November game against the Chiefs. That Chiefs game, along with the Eagles in Week 17, are really the most challenging ones on the schedule. But I don't know, man. Give me the Bills in both of them. The Bills just seem like a special team this year, and I think that by the time that those matchups roll around, we will have answered a lot of the questions that I had about this team heading in. I think that they'll be even better than they were on Sunday night, which is a pretty scary thought for the rest of the league.
You're not concerned about a defense that gave up 40 points and allowed like 238 yards on the ground, over 8 per carry?
I mean, in some ways, yes, but also Sean McDermott just has such a good track record of getting the most out of his defenses. You're also playing the Ravens. Like, they're just that good. Like, it's going to happen. So I just think by that point in the season, you get all these easy games out of the way. By the time you play the Chiefs, the defense will look a lot better with all the young talent they brought in.
How's Bosa looking?
He was all right.
Yeah. Well, he won't defend the run well, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But I thought, they got the young defensive tackles. Like, those guys will develop. They'll get better. The thing is when you look at, I'm with you. And I'm not saying I 100% think they're going to go undefeated, but
technically, I'm not either.
But what I'm saying is, I think they will easily have the best record in the NFL. I don't think there's another team in the entire league that will have the same record they do. Like, they will be by themselves in that record because every difficult game they play this year is at home. The Bengals, the Eagles, and there's one more.
Stop calling the Bengals difficult, guys.
Yes, but that's fair.
I get what you're saying.
We'll get to that. The games people think are difficult. All of those toughest opponents are all at home. Like, I don't pay attention to that as much in the NFL as I do in college, but I've never seen a schedule look as easy for a team as good as Buffalo has been year after year when you are automatically given, you get those extra bonus games against some of the toughest teams in the league, and their schedule just looks unbelievably easy.
What's your overreaction then?
Dan's going to love this. I have just another one where I'm like, I think I'm going to change my mind completely about how I feel about this guy. But I think Dak is an MVP frontrunner heading into the rest of the season.
Dak Prescott, MVP frontrunner.
Yeah, I will put him
First
right
ever
there.
MVP to lead a team to like a 3-14
record.
Well,
the record. We'll have some serious questions about what the record's going to be. But in terms of you have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson in the Monday Nighter, I think Dak is right there with him when you look at the projection for the rest of the season. Because Week 1, the numbers don't tell you like this guy is an MVP front runner in terms of 180 some yards, but dealt with a ton of drops, obviously from CD Lamb.
man.
That was I've never seen a guy
brutal.
have 100+ yards and everyone walk away like this guy didn't show up tonight.
Yeah.
But a lot of drops, there were so many balls that he threw that were incredible to watch in terms of accuracy, throwing with anticipation, on the run, on the move. The Pickens deep ball in the first half that was called for PI was just in a drop in the bucket. If he didn't have both of his arms held down by the DB, that was just one of the best balls of the entire weekend. Obviously under a good amount of pressure in this game being the Eagles' defensive line, the Eagles' defense. But I loved what I saw from him despite the lack of numbers. And I'm really excited to see what he can do the rest of the year because obviously this defense doesn't look like one that's going to be overly impressive. So that's going to give him a ton of opportunities to be throwing the football a ton the rest of the year. And I like the two weapons. Like I'm not worried about George Pickens after week one at all. So I'm very excited to see what Dallas can do.
Dan's flag flying high right now.
That
he's
was
a great
definitely
quarterback.
an overreaction. Yeah.
It just sounds like a take that comes from actually watching the game
Right,
instead
yeah.
of looking at the box score.
I
which
can't
is
even-
what
yeah.
I'm begging people to do more often.
Exactly, because for me, a lot of it is I watch the game and then I look at the numbers and to like affirm my thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't have numbers to lean on to be like, hey guys, this is why. It's like just watch the game and watch the decision making and watch where he can put the football, and it tells you all you need.
He
to
executed.
clearly
He
good.
did everything he could have possibly done to help Dallas beat
Yeah.
arguably one of the toughest, if not the toughest opponents
He
in the NFL.
He even goaded a spit to
Yeah, it was crazy.
get the best defensive player in the league. kicked out of
Gamesmanship.
the game.
He's got the ability and he's got the
Yeah,
gamesmanship.
yeah.
Zachy, give us an overreaction.
My overreaction is Joe Burrow needs to leave the Cincinnati Bengals. All right? I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, Carson Palmer legitimately retired because he was afraid of being with the Bengals. He said, I will not play football if it means I have to be on this team. And what happened? He had a really weird year with the Raiders, but after that, he went to the Arizona Cardinals, paired up with Bruce Arians, and that Cardinals team was one of the most fun football teams that we've had in the NFL over the past 25 years since the turn of the millennium. Joe Burrow needs to do the same thing. Retire, demand a trade, fight the Browns ownership group in the office if that's what it takes, whatever he has to do. Get Joe Burrow off the Bengals.
Yeah.
I do not. We're not feeling bad for Joe Burrow on this show. That's just not happening. I'm not doing that.
What do you mean? The guy.
Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, he's got the Avengers to throw to.
But
That's what everyone wants to talk about. It's not that bad for Joe Burrow. They made the decision. They want to go get Jamar Chase instead of a Penei Sewell. That's what everyone's going to complain about. Oh, and he's got no protection, no help. Well, the help is there. Get the ball to the help. I don't feel bad for Joe Burrow.
Fair enough.
That is fair enough. Gentlemen, appreciate the reactions, both measured and a little bit over the top. Now let's check in with the fans, the real fans, the one that posts on their team's subreddits.
Wait.
Sure.
I forgot that I have to get something off my chest
Go.
before we start moving on to the rest of week 2.
This has been brewing. This has been brewing for a long time
I said
now.
this to you guys in the group chat. I said I would like to propose that we ban changing your number.
Uniform
My
numbers?
brain cannot handle NFL players who I've watched for like 3-4 seasons be like, I'm going to change my number.
It takes like a month.
Yeah, I'm watching the game and somebody I'm watching with a group of friends. They're like, who's the quarterback for the Jets right now? I'm like, I don't know. Who's number 7? Oh, it's Justin Fields. Jahmyr Gibbs. You can't be elusive. You can't be a breakaway runner. You just can't be a good player wearing number 0 as a running back.
Wide receivers wearing single-digit numbers, it puts my brain in a blender.
Jameson Williams, best season of your career. You went off. Everybody knows who you are. Number 1 now? Brian Robinson, number 3 as a running back. That should be illegal. Illegal. Cannot happen. Who else? Ricky Pearsall. I finally know your number. You're number 14. Number 1. Evan Ingram.
That's
new
crazy.
team. I'm going to wear number 1. I'm a tight end. Can you run anyone over wearing number 1?
What's behind
Will
this
McDonald
phenomenon?
from
You know what?
on the
Here's
Jets.
you want the
I want your
You want
theory.
the hot take
Go.
theory here? Hypothesis. These guys are selfish. They want more money. They want to sell more jerseys. Get that little percentage from the NFL for their jersey sales. So let me get a new one. All the Lions fans that love Jahmyr Gibbs so much, no, I want you to get a new one because I want you to support me and help pay my bills.
Tyler, youngest guy on the podcast with the oldest man.
Yeah, that
team
is an
I've
old
ever
man take.
heard in my
Such
entire
an, people
life.
will absolutely hate that, but
Yeah,
I
don't
couldn't
like that
stand
one.
it. I could not stand it. I hated the numbers. It drove me insane. I
What
can't.
happened to Bronco Nagurski? Like, that's what Tyler's at right now.
Well, yeah,
Mike Ditka used to wear a jersey in the 80s.
Yeah, my brain is like.
He didn't have. He decided to forego a number because numbers are for commies or whatever. Zach, I know you did some investigating on various teams' subreddits to check in with, check the temperature of various fan bases after week 1. What did you discover?
Well, we had to head to the subreddit. When I was a kid, my dad, huge Jets fan, and every time the Jets would beat the Bills, we were able to get access in Hamilton to the Buffalo radio stations. And my dad and I used to sit in the car and listen to Buffalo Bills fans call in pure agony. And it was one of our greatest joys. So I decided to do that with the subreddit. Go to some of the worst teams who had bad weeks and see what they had to say about their teams. So the first one, we had the Miami Dolphins subreddit.
That's going to be a cesspool
yes,
this week.
It was really bad. It was. I did this for you so you don't have to. You don't want to drag through these dregs, okay?
Yeah.
It's tough places. I feel for the fans. We had a user, Office Cactus 420, of course. His comment was, "My dumbass flew to Indianapolis to go to this game. My own fault for thinking this year might be different." And that is his own fault, actually.
Well,
yes,
at least there are lots of other things to do in Indianapolis. You can take in the city. It wasn't a total wash. Sorry, go on, Zach.
We also had, this guy over here. And he said, "Is it me or did the offense look more competent with Zach at the helm? I know it was garbage time."
That's Zach Wilson, to be clear.
Zach Wilson.
That's right, yeah.
Zach Wilson. That's where the Dolphins fans at. They're calling for Zach Wilson. I know it was garbage time, but I liked how relaxed Zach looked. Little things like this with this blank show of a franchise.
Speaking of numbers, you know what number Zach Wilson was wearing?
Number 0?
Number 0.
That is
fraction.
disgusting.
But and prayers up for that guy that attended the game, went to Indy.
Yeah, that's tough.
Literally
That's brutal.
nothing else to do but go to the football game. That's some serious dedication too, because I always think about this from if you go to a college football game, like go visit a big opponent, and you go to some small town, and then the price for a hotel is like $1,000 a night.
Yeah.
And then you go there and just watch your team lose by 30. Like those are some of the
To Daniel
toughest
Jones.
things you gotta go through.
They're built different, college football fans. Zachy, what else you got? Those were pretty good.
We also had the Panthers subreddit, another team, a really tough week 1. We had Mr. Me Seeks 718, and his comment was, "If you don't like that, you don't like Panthers football." And the top reply to that was Krish the Dish 17, and they said, "You're right, I don't like Panthers football." So a reminder, that was on the Panthers subreddit. Those are Panthers fans. And then we had Maxter SV, and he said, "Xavier Leggett, get ready to learn Canadian, buddy." And that was the top comment for the entire thing, was the Xavier Leggett slam. And then we went over to a team that actually got a win. We got a win here.
Wow.
The Bengals, they won this week, but still, it was a little bit weird.
By the hair on their chinny chin chins.
Yeah, so we had Hello There 77 says, "Feel dirty, need a shower." And Bionic Joe replies, "The Cleveland effect."
Put some respect on Cleveland. Cleveland's no Indianapolis. I like Cleveland. It's a nice town.
People got married at the stadium this week.
I like Cleveland.
You like Cleveland more than Indy?
Yeah.
Cleveland rocks.
Yeah, Cleveland
Cleveland
rocks.
rocks. Shout out to Drew
You don't
Carey.
respect Drew Carey? Yeah.
I've been to
Progressive
Cleveland.
Field?
I've been to Cleveland once. It was
That one market they got? I like Cleveland.
Isn't Cleveland's oh no, they got the Cavs there. Okay, I was about to say Cleveland's like only football, but they do have the Cavs. I guess they have the guards.
They
What am I
got it
talking
all.
about, actually?
They
do
got
have
it all.
Yeah, they do have it all.
All right, and then we also had user Commodore N7, and he said, "The Bengals defense bailing out a bad offense again, just as expected," which is obviously a crazy scenario for week 1.
I was trying to trot around that stat you gave before. What was the stat you gave again before week 1 about the Bengals? And was it you said they
they
hadn't
had, like,
scored in the
2
first
wins?
half or
No,
something?
over the first 6 years of Zach Taylor's tenure,
Yeah.
in the first 2 weeks of the season, they were 1-11.
1-11.
So
I thought
it
it was
was
2-10.
it was
That's
real close to 1-12.
Oh my god!
I mean, it should have been. They got outplayed
hey,
by the Browns.
the Browns might not be that bad of a team. That could be the other team.
Or the Bengals might be
Yeah,
real bad.
There you go.
Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go.
And then finally, we have the Detroit Lions subreddit. They lost to a dominant Packers team. We got user Why Not W57, and his comment is in reference to offensive coordinator John Morton. He says, "John Moron."
I like that he explained the joke, Like
No,
John,
that was
like-
me.
Oh, that was you.
me
Okay.
who explained the joke.
I was gonna say that would
Oh,
make
okay.
I don't know how. Where did they even
appreciated
get that?
for,
They
like-
did not get that. How did they make that screenshot? Because I gave them the real screenshots. That's not the screenshot. Anyway,
Shout out to the production team.
they did an amazing job.
Truly
Shout out to
the
Zach.
Packers of production teams.
There's some real reason to be concerned. Do you think I'm concerned about the Lions? I don't know what it is about. I knew that Jared Goff was a statue, but he looked even more like a statue to the craziest degree on Sunday. And their offense, in terms of I don't know what it is. Good offenses look fast, and bad offenses obviously look really stale and slow. And a lot of checkdowns from Goff. He had the lowest average depth target of any quarterback this week. I think it was like 4.4 yards or so. I don't know. I feel pretty concerned about them, especially the way their two guards played, because I think that was a big reason why I thought Goff was such a statue, because they just kept blowing him up the middle of the line.
That's a pretty good defense that they went up against. But, Will, I feel like you're not sharing in Tyler's concern. Weren't you saying that the Lions are going to be fine?
Yeah, I'm not that concerned yet. I might have different thoughts after this week if they look just as bad on offense. But, I mean, this is still the Lions with as much talent as they have at all the skill positions. And especially on defense too, man. I know we didn't quite see it this week, but I think that defense is going to be really good, and maybe we see signs of that against the Bears in week 2.
Zachy,
let me just
wrap this up, brother.
Let me just get the last one out.
Yeah.
Let me get the last one out. So we had John Moore on in reference to John Morton. The coordinators weren't ready. The O-line wasn't ready. The defense wasn't ready. And finally, user Intrepid Fruit 5178. There was a lot of talk at Lions camp about iron sharpening iron. He says they were talking iron sharpens iron. Whole time it was ass versus ass. So they're not happy in Detroit. Not happy in Detroit.
Listen, they know pain.
It's true. Zachy?
That's it.
You're an investigative reporter of the highest degree. We're going to be relying on you to get down and dirty in the subreddits
I will.
over the course of the season,
I
because
will.
it's just a gold mine.
You should get in the score chat on live games.
No, I
don't think you want to do that.
That's a scary
I have to get
place.
some hazard pay for that or something.
You'll be told that like the touchdown has been scored when it hasn't. A pick six just happened. You'll be convinced of a lot
All
of
right.
things that aren't true.
Let's shift our focus now towards week 2. Lots of great games on tap, but I'm curious to know if you live in a one TV household, which I do, and I understand you as a newly married man, you do as well.
No, not yet.
Not yet?
I got a
Oh, the policy isn't in effect yet?
baby 32-inch sitting on the fireplace.
Okay, well, I am in a one TV household, and I'm curious to know if you can only watch one game in each time slot this coming weekend, which one is the one you would tune into? Wilk, give me your early Sunday afternoon must-watch game.
We were just talking about them. Let me start with the Lions. I'll take Lions and the Bears in that early window. I mean, there's so much on the line for these two teams already. We know how difficult it is to bounce back from an 0-2 start, so someone's going to avoid that.
In division, too.
Yeah, and I think these are both pretty reasonably considered playoff contenders, so we'll see who can kind of hang on to that status beyond week 2. But obviously, this is also Ben Johnson's first game against his former team. Mm-hmm. I think it's fair to expect he's going to be pretty deep in his bag of tricks to kind of put on a show, just like he did in that game against the Bears last year, which was ultimately a job interview. He had that fake fumble, stumble play that kind of went viral. But I think even just beyond those storylines, I'm just really fascinated to see these two teams again, because I think the Lions' defense is going to be a pretty good test for what we saw from the Bears offense on Monday night. There was a lot of good early and then some not so good stuff later from MacKillop. I think that they need to take a big step forward to inspire any sort of confidence in what they're going to do this season. And then also, I just think that the Bears defense and what Dennis Allen is building there is going to be a really good test for what you were talking about earlier and how this Lions offense is shaping up. So either way, I'm really excited to see this one, and someone's got to win, and someone's going to be 0-2, and it's going to be a big problem when they are.
Yeah, that's for sure. T, one TV household. What's the early Sunday game you're watching?
Yeah, we talked about both of these teams so far already, but I'm really interested to see Jacksonville and Cincinnati for a few different reasons. I mean, you look at Orlando Brown Jr. He was a turnstile on Sunday. I think he gave up 7 pressures. I think that had to be the most at his position, I would think. When you're playing Myles Garrett, that's going to be tough. But Josh Hines-Allen had a great first week as well, so that's not going to be an easy matchup. Can their offense hit their stride? I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. I don't think they'll be able to run the ball well all season, but you get a much easier matchup in terms of the Jags secondary. And then the other side, we kind of touched on it in terms of the run game and a little bit of concern with Trevor Lawrence, but outside the hashes, Trevor Lawrence could not make a play. Brian Thomas had 7 targets, just 1 reception. Liam Cohen was kind of hanging him out to dry in a press conference post-game of like, we missed Brian Thomas here, we missed Brian Thomas there, we didn't get a ball on target here. So he was 1 of 7 for just 6 yards on passes outside the hashes in week 1. So I need to see Trevor Lawrence answer some questions there, because he's going to see a lot of man coverage from Al Golden's defense, which gives him an opportunity to potentially get Brian Thomas for some big plays. So I'm excited to see the matchup from kind of both sides of the ball and learn more about Cohen's offense and see if the Bengals can start to hit their stride.
Yeah, I don't think this is actually going to happen, because I I imagine the Jags have a pretty clear plan in place for what they want to do with Travis Hunter, but this feels like the type of game where you'd be like, look, we need the help in the secondary. Just man him up on like Jamar Chase all game or something, just for fun, right? And then just have him be a situational player on offense instead to kind of balance out a snap count. Again, I think that they're probably pretty set on just having him be a full-time receiver and rotating in on defense, but they could use the help in that one, and it would be pretty fun if that's what they did.
That'd be awesome. Zachy, what's your must-watch early Sunday game?
Mine is Bills-Jets. I think that's the best game from the early slate. Like I said before, the Jets are kind of the Walmart version of the Ravens. So if you liked Bills-Ravens, you should like Bills-Jets. The defense led up a lot of points. The Jets could possibly score a lot of points again. I just think it's going to be electric. And by the way, I want to say my bold premonition I got from the sky, I said there was going to be the greatest game of NFL history in the league this year, and it was not Bills-Ravens. So buckle your seatbelts, folks. That's going to be insane. Browns-Raiders week 6.
Do we need to change our minds on how we I should say we. I shouldn't speak for anybody else. Do I need to change my mind on how I feel about the Jets defense? Should I just now go to they're back to being terrible?
I tend to believe they have such a good defensive front.
Yeah.
They have Sauce Gardner. They have good linebackers. I feel like that opener was probably just like week 1 growing pains. I tend to believe that the defense is still going to be better than the offense over the course of the season. Like you have Aaron Glenn there, but yeah, that was just such a weird game from the Jets. I'm with you. I'm fascinated to see them because I still don't know what to expect from this team, but I want to find out.
Yeah,
I didn't like that they made 2 trades for D tackles like 2 weeks before the season. That kind of concerns me a little bit that they're don't feel good about their run. Well, the run defense was fine in week 1, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Giving up 4 passing touchdowns to this version of Aaron Rodgers is definitely notable.
To Calvin, getting cooked by Calvin Austin.
Yeah. Wilk, 4 o'clock Sunday. What's your must-watch game?
There's only one answer to this question.
Yeah, you guys take it. There's one answer.
It's the Chiefs and the Eagles. It's a Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? There's no other answer.
T?
Well, I mean, I'm very excited to watch Daniel Jones part 2.
Tyler, don't you dare. Don't you dare tell me that a Daniel Jones game is taking priority over Chiefs-Eagles.
I've seen Chiefs-Eagles a time or 2, man.
It's been done.
So in your one TV household, you're catching up on Chiefs-Eagles later?
Yeah, I could just,
He's going to watch Big Brother. He'll probably tape Chiefs-Eagles. Watch it later.
I'll watch the cut-up version of
I've seen Mahomes hurts. I need Bo Nix and Daniel Jones, baby.
If I could for a second, I do think it's going to be interesting to see Daniel Jones against a far superior defense in terms of this is obviously the best personnel he's had in his career.
Yeah.
On the other side, Bo Nix, you were maybe the worst quarterback in week 1. Mm-hmm. You had one of the again. I talked about average depth target for Goff. His was one of the lowest as well, and he had I think he had the most turnover-worthy plays in that game. And then the usage of his legs. What did he have? 4 to 5 design runs. I'm not really a fan of that part of his game, to be honest with you. We're going to see a step up in competition for the Colts defense as well in terms of their pass rush and what they can do.
And honestly, shout out Lou Anarumo, man. He got scapegoated for what the Bengals defense became last year, and I think it's pretty clear that was not his problem. It's just everything that the Bengals are at this point. It's just it was a personnel issue, and from week 1, we find out why he was so highly coveted when he became available. And you were right heading into the season. This Colts defense looks like it's going to be a lot better.
I'm excited for that game. I will agree. The number 1 game of the 4 p.m. slate is Eagles-Chiefs because there's also a ton to figure out when it comes to the Chiefs and their. I don't think their defense is for the last 2 years. Their defense in the regular season has been better than their offense, I would say. This year, I think it's going to be the opposite. I think their offense is going to have to do a lot of the work.
They were getting no pressure on Justin Herbert. He had all day to throw on Friday night. It was uncharacteristic of Kansas City.
I've got a 20-minute piece on the Kylie Kelsey, Taylor Swift, Jason Kelsey press box. Do you guys want me to get into that, or can we?
Let's move on.
Say that? Yeah. All right.
Maybe later in the season. We'll keep you posted. No, last thing, gents. The primetime games in week 1, they were all pretty awesome across the board. Cowboys-Eagles was really good. Chargers-Chiefs obviously was a shocker. Bills-Ravens, like I said earlier, maybe the game of the year. And then the McCarthy show on Monday night against Chicago. That was pretty epic as well. We have another 4 primetime games this coming week, including 2 Monday nighters. I want to know what you guys are most looking forward to in those 4 games. Wilk, Commanders, Packers on Thursday night. What are you looking forward to?
Oh, this one's easy. I want to see the Packers defense against the Commanders offense. We talked about it earlier. That defense was awesome against the Lions in week 1. But the one thing I didn't add then, because I knew I'd be talking about it later, is that was with Micah Parsons still kind of getting his feet wet as like a part-time player. He's still getting in the mix there. I don't know that that's going to be any different this week because, it's a short week. You only have a couple more days to ramp up. So maybe he'll still be rotating in less than he normally would against the Commanders. But, man, this defense is legit. And just a matchup with the Commanders offense is such a good test. Obviously, Jaden Daniels picked up where he left off last year. And as much as I think we agreed that Deebo Samuel's addition wasn't very inspiring, I think it's pretty clear that Cliff Kingsbury has a good plan in place for how to use him. So this one's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Also, Ja'Cory Cross-Garrett looked good in week 1, and he immediately kind of took over in the second half.
That's Bill to you.
Yeah. Sorry, Bill. I was excited about that. Yeah, there's a lot to see here because I think the fact is that Deebo was more involved because Deebo was around at practice time in the preseason and training camp, whereas McLaurin was obviously dealing with some of the contract stuff.
Yeah, he's also just like a different receiver where you're gonna like scheme up touches for him, and Kingsbury loves the screen game, so he's a big part of that. He'll get him design touches on these jet motions and whatever else. But
I'm definitely giving the Packers the upper hand. Would give the Packers the upper hand in this game for sure.
It'd be interesting.
I think so too. Yeah.
Falcons, Vikings. What are you looking forward to?
I really am excited about seeing these two young quarterbacks obviously going up against. I would say I'm more excited to see Michael Penix in terms of the matchup because of you've got that Brian Flores defense, very blitz heavy. We haven't seen a lot of snaps out of from Michael Penix in terms of only a few games last year heading into this year.
He looked pretty good last week.
I thought he was all right. He could be missing Drake London though.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney didn't play. I really hope he has those pieces with him so we can kind of further evaluate him in that aspect because you're running into a Vikings defense that's going to make it tough for you to run the ball. But I'm sure Bijan will just be peppered with targets in that game as a receiver. And then on the other side, I wish I had a lot to tell you about the Vikings and what I learned about them offensively heading into week 2, but I'm excited to just see another week of J.J. McCarthy and evaluate him as a passer because first half, there were some struggles, and I can't say I'm found some definitive takeaway from him in week 1. So it just seems.
I think the important part is that we learned nothing. It was rough at first, and then he turned it on, but I don't think that necessarily means he's a superstar in the making. Let's just wait and find out, and this is going to be a fun matchup for
Zach,
we continue to learn about his composure, right?
I was just going to say you'll like this. I think nobody's had more aura after throwing a pick six than JJ.
Yes.
He's going to O'Connell it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. I got this.
Honestly, and he was in the locker room too, and breaking down the team, and he's got that he just got that strong jaw. He's a cast as a quarterback.
Here's another great question for you, Zach, that I want you to answer. At what age does the paint have to come off the cheeks? What's the number?
That is an
28,
incredible question.
30?
He's 22 right now. I think it's around 30. It's like a bad season. And then it's he comes the next year and it's I'm all business and he has no more paint. And it's he has to save it for a narrative change.
I would say once you're off that rookie contract, it's got to go.
Yeah.
So what about you're a dad. He's going to be a dad soon.
Yeah.
Maybe once he's a dad, face paint's no longer that's for the kids.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things change when you become. So yeah, I'm on board with that too.
Zach. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you can really
spend the rest of the week thinking about when is the time for the face paint to come off.
I was just going to say, you can really tell why Jim Harbaugh loves him so much, and he's his favorite quarterback of all time. But I think my takeaway from that game in general is that the Vikings team just kind of has what I expected them to have to support a young quarterback properly. And again, this was without Jordan Addison. So when he comes back, J.J. McCarthy, whether he's killing it himself right out of the gate, I think he's going to be in a position to keep this team very competitive.
Zach, Bucks, Texans, what are you looking forward to?
We did contenders versus pretenders last week. I'm just really interested to see, are the Houston Texans pretenders? That's my big question. I feel pretty confident in the Bucks. I think what you're going to get out of them. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be in the mix in a divisional round game. I just like with them. Emeka Buka, that guy's awesome.
What a stud. Yep.
Super good. But are the Texans pretenders? That's my big question.
Yeah, certainly we didn't see anything in week 1 that dispelled the idea that they're kind of bad.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in the early look at the offense. It might take some time, but I was hoping that the offensive coordinator change would just immediately lead to better or good enough offensive line play, and then by extension, C.J. Stroud getting back to what he did as a rookie. And it wasn't there in week one. I will say, like, the Rams defense is a lot better than people realize. So, maybe this gives them an opportunity. I know teams tend to be able to throw the ball on the Bucs, so maybe this could be the game where they really open it up. But I don't know. Week one wasn't exactly inspiring on that front.
If Nico Collins is going to realize your offensive player of the year prediction,
need some more targets.
Yeah, he's going to need some more targets.
He's going to have 200.
Goodness.
I'm going to need him to start performing for my fantasy team as soon as possible.
This wouldn't be like a spicy take by any means, because I think the Texans played in the lowest scoring game of the week this past week. I think they could be again, because these D-lines could have some fun, because Hassan Reddick also looked quite good for Tampa as well.
Yeah.
So these D-lines could dominate.
Wilk, second Monday nighter, Chargers at Raiders. What are you looking forward to as someone who's going to be there in the stands?
Oh,
Man,
my God.
I can't wait for this matchup of the NFL's two most underappreciated quarterbacks. Justin Herbert, to me, for a long time, has been a top 5 guy, so it was really interesting on Friday night seeing football, Twitter, X, whatever, treat this as if it was a completely new development. I mean,
breakout candidate Justin Herbert.
Yeah. I'm one of those people.
He has quite literally always been this guy, no matter how much people want to stack quarterback rankings based on team success. And then on the other side, Geno Smith, not quite on that level, obviously, but to me, he's like a top 10, 12 quarterback at his best. And
one of the greatest stories in NFL history, Geno Smith.
I know that a lot of the football community is probably forever going to be hung up on the fact that he was written off as a bust after his time in New York. But all you have to do is watch the games to understand that he is a legit baller, and he pushes the ball downfield so well. And based on what we saw in week 1 against the Patriots, I think Chip Kelly is happy to embrace that to the fullest. So I can't wait to watch this game, and I'm excited I'm going to be there.
I made a video on our socials that I said that Raiders would have a top 10 scoring offense, and I know it doesn't look like it through week 1, just with 20 points, but I feel quite good about them. In this game, I'm really excited about Minter's defense against Geno, because I think he led the league in completions to 20-plus air yards, but like a wide margin. He was hitting a lot of big plays.
Yeah,
so
in the rain, too. So Geno's always been amazing indoors, so now he goes to Vegas indoors, coming out off that 362 yards in the rain. Now he's, this could be a fun one.
I won't,
knowing Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll, I'd bet that they'd be really in on Tyreek Hill trade conversations as well if he became available.
Yeah, Pete Carroll's running out of years too.
Is Brock Bowers going to play? Do we know?
We don't know. I think that might be something that goes right up till game time. I really hope he does, because that would make this matchup even better.
Fingers crossed. And if you find yourself on TV, make sure to shout out "No timeouts."
No timeouts.
Of course,
if you don't,
of
we
course.
won't welcome you back to the show in perpetuity.
Tough but fair.
And that'll do it for today's episode of No Timeouts. Thanks so much for tuning in once again. That is Zak McDonald. That is Dan Wilkins. That's Tyler MacKillop. My name is Jonah Birenbaum. We'll see you next time.
I love football.